Properly, and I would like if the section can be recorded. I'm here on behalf. I'm here on behalf of the farmers of Region 7. I would like to have this replayed to them at a later date.
Yes, this is being recorded. It is being recorded, and yes, you will have the opportunity for this recording.
Yes, Ms. Boswell, thank you very much. As I was saying, without value addition in agriculture, we will have no sustainable development in our country. The Guyana School of Agriculture and the Guyana Marketing Corporation has been working assiduously over the years promoting non-traditional agricultural commodities to improve the livelihood and the social well-being of Guyanese as for as long as I can remember. In order to have development, we have collaborated over the years, training farmers, agro-processors, entrepreneurs, and prospective agriculturists in different areas of agriculture. Because we want to encourage research development in order to enhance the products produced in Guyana. My presentation will start with a short PowerPoint presentation, followed by a video presentation which we were working on for the past month, after which we will open the floor for questions from the participants. So I will begin to share the screen in just a moment. As far as you gave me the opportunity to share, Juanita. Yes. Can everyone see the screen? Now, the objective of this presentation is to identify the different ingredients, equipment, and processes used for curing and smoking ham. Now, the process of meat curing has been around for centuries. While in modern times, we often take simple refrigeration, everyday refrigeration for granted. Back in the day, salting was one of the primary methods used for food preservation. Now, what is ham? Ham is the cut of meat from the hog's hind leg. Unprocessed meat is referred to as fresh ham, but ham goes through a curing process, after which it is referred to as cured ham. Now, before I said fresh ham, but before you begin the process of curing your ham, it is recommended, and you should chill your ham at least 36 hours before the process of curation begins. Generally speaking, there are two primary methods of curing ham. We have the dry method and the wet cure method. Now, before I get into that, the production of cure and smoked ham, we normally use a two-part procedure at the Guyana School of Agriculture. Basically curing the fresh pork and smoking of the cure product. Now, dry cure is the process whereby a mixture of salt, sugar migrate into the tissues and into the muscles. Dry curing basically takes a longer time compared to wet cure because it takes a very long time for the process of diffusion and osmosis to occur where the particles will move from a high concentration to a low concentration in the meat. Now, brine cure or wet cure is also, as I said before, is also known as brine cure, and it requires the meat to be submerged into a salty solution with nitrites and spices. The meat is injected with the curing solution, after which it is submerged into liquid, and that's what we're gonna demonstrate to you today with the video presentation. Now, these are some of the ingredients that we basically use in our processing production. For 16 pounds of hind leg, either bone-in or boneless, we use 1 gallon of water, 2 pounds of salt, 2 pounds of sugar, 2 tablespoons of curing salt, and 1/4 cup of spices. Now, if you notice, we have a 1-to-1 ratio for the salt and the sugar. That is because we want to obtain a 70% salinity. Now, if we don't have a 70% salinity, the water after a period of time in the refrigerator tends to get slimy and it will cause the arm to spoil. So we have to make sure that the salinity of the solution is 70%. Now, in your 1/4 cup of spices, you can use spices of your choice. You can use crushed pepper, allspice, aniseed, cinnamon, bay leaf, and 10 whole cloves. The cinnamon, the bay leaf, and the whole cloves are basically boiled in order to be injected into the meat. So it's boiled, the spices are boiled in water for 10 to 15 minutes, allowed to cool at room temperature, and after which you refrigerate before injecting into the meat. You can also use other spices of your choice to give your that unique taste. Now, smoking. Now, smoking is a process that relies on indirect heat, low temperature, and long cooking time. Just like curing, smoking is used to add flavor to the cured meat and to add a unique taste to the meat. Smoking also gives the meat a really nice outside brown appearance and a characteristic smoky flavor to the product. Now, after the ham would have been soaked, submerged, you should remove the cured pork from the solution and rinse thoroughly with water to remove excess salt from the surface of the meat. You can also immerse the cured pork in warm water for 15 minutes before draining the meat before you proceed to smoke the meat. Am I going too fast? Is everyone clear? Okay, thanks. Now, what are some of the functions of curing? Curing helps with shelf life extension. It also helps to prevent rapid deterioration of the meat and by controlling microbial growth. All right, so that is my short introduction. Now, as we get into our video presentation, you will see that the Guyana School of Agriculture is a little advanced in technology in producing a ham, but you can also produce your ham in the comfort of your own home. If you don't have a electronic smoker, you can use a box oven to also smoke your ham. So without any further ado, we'll get into our video presentation. I ask you to pay keen attention to the video presentation, which will highlight the steps of producing the ham from the beginning to the end. Thank you very much for listening. So we'll get directly now into our video presentation. I just stopped sharing. Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to the Guyana School of Agriculture Agro-Processing Facility. I am Stacia McDonald. I'm the assistant manager here, and I am pleased and delighted to guide you through the steps of producing ham. Ham is a cured leg of pork. After slaughtering on the school's farm, the hind leg is sent to the school's agro-processing facility for curing. Curing is the addition of salt, sodium, sugar, and nitrite, along with spices and seasoning, to inhibit the growth of harmful bacteria such as Clostridium botulism, which can occur in food under certain conditions. Curing solution is added by injecting and massaging into the muscles. The process of curation begins by storing the meat at 41 degrees Fahrenheit or 5 degrees Celsius for 24 hours before the process begins. An infrared thermometer is used to record the temperature of the chiller, the solution, and the meat before curing. Many types of thermometers are available for use in our food handling operations. Divided the production process into 8 stages. Firstly, chilling, followed by dressing, injecting, maturing or curing, draining, smoking or cooking, slicing, and lastly, packaging. We begin the process with a fresh, uncured hind leg of the pig. First, the loose pieces of fat and meat are removed from the leg. This process is referred to as ham dressing. A curing mixture of 70% salinity is prepared to preserve the meat. We use a salinometer to test the salinity of the solution. In this process, we will use a 1-to-1 ratio of salt and sugar to 1 gallon of water to obtain such. Salt contributes to curing, flavor, firmness, and the water holding capacity of the meat. Sugar is also a flavoring. It's also a preservative for the ham. Sugar also helps to offset the harshness of the salt. The preservative sodium nitrite fights harmful bacteria in ham and other processed meat, and it also lends to the pink coloration of the ham. So now we're going to mix that into the liquid. Now we're going to use a salamiter to test the percentage of salinity in the liquid. We place the salamiter into the liquid, and it's at 70%, which it should be. Alright? After baking, ham tends to lose 20% of its weight. Therefore, it is advisable to weigh the pork before injecting 20% of its weight. After baking, the ham should remain at its initial weight. So after injecting, the weight should be 19.6 pounds. Okay?
Purchase your tracks today.
During the production process, we inject the solution closest to the bone to prevent spoilage. Spoilage begins from the bone and moves outwards. The meat is then stored for 21 days in the chiller under the same conditions, 41 degrees Fahrenheit or 5 degrees Celsius. So basically we are injecting 3.5 pounds of weight into the leg. Okay, so we have a little extra which, will add some extra flavor. We have 20.1 pounds. Okay, so we were aiming for 19.6 and we have 20.1. Our spices. Ham will include a dominant spice. In our case, we use bay leaf water. Spices can be ground or whole. About 1 to 2 grams of spice is added to 1 kg of meat. 1 teaspoon of dry spice weighs about 2 grams. Dark spices such as nutmegs and cloves can darken the color of the meat or the ham. It is recommended to use those spices in moderate amounts. It is also recommended to store your spices in an airtight container because spices are very volatile and can lose their aroma very quickly. right, so we basically use 10 to 12 spices to add flavor to the ham. We use this now to rub on the outside of the ham. So you just want to marinate it. So whatever is remaining, whatever we cannot rub, we will place it into the water. This pork will soak for 21 days, and then we'll get our ham. So you can also do this as a dry mixture, where you can use a paper to wrap the ham, or you can do the soak method. We're going to do the soak method. We're going to use the same solution to soak the ham for 21 days. Okay. So we're going to pour the solution now. Okay, so we want to make sure that it's fully submerged. Good. What are some of the functions of curing? Curing helps with shelf life extension in an effort to make the meat safe for a longer period of time. It helps with resistance to deterioration. The meat will maintain its original quality and remain stable in the refrigerator for an extended period of time by controlling microbial growth. Smoking is used today primarily to lend an appetizing outside brown appearance and a characteristic smoky flavor to the smoked product. Smoking may be applied in two forms, natural or liquid. The wood of hickory tree is one of the most popular source of natural smoke. Liquid smoke is merely a fraction extracted from the wood smoke. Smoking along with heat plays an integral part in the curing process. It helps to lower the microbial population by the addition of heat and smoke to the meat.
This is our electrical pro smoker and roaster that we use at the Guided School of Agriculture to do our hams. Now initially here we do two types of cooking method, which is the long time low temperature and the short time high temperature. today I'm using low temperature, long time cooking method that takes an average about 14 hours. Now at the starting of the process, you would preheat the oven for 100 degrees Fahrenheit for like about 20 minutes. After which you hang the hams into the oven and continue cooking for 2 hours. After the 2 hours, you 2 quarts full sawdust pan with sawdust and place it into the oven and raise the temperature to 130 degrees Fahrenheit, and you continue the cooking process for another 8 hours. At the end of the 8 hours, you would reintroduce an additional 2-quart pan of sawdust into the smoker and continue smoking for an additional 4 hours. Upon reaching 4 hours, you then increase the temperature to 175 degrees Fahrenheit and cook the meat until the internal probe temperature meets 150 to 155 degrees Fahrenheit. Achieve your initial temperature goal, you then cut off the smoker and leave the meat to cool to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and after which you can then cold store until used.
After smoking, the ham is placed in the chiller at -2 degrees Celsius for the next 36 hours. Using a meat saw, the ham is sliced into single portions or ham steaks. Now the ham is now being sliced into ham steaks. Now you can observe the color of the ham. is the pink coloration and the outside brown appearance. Now we have our ham. So the next step will be to package. The ham is now placed in the stocking net. So now we're using a cling wrap to give the ham some extra protection. It can now be sent to the supermarket. It will stay fresh in the refrigerator for the next 2 months or in the freezer for 6 months. The product will maintain its quality in the freezer or the refrigerator. factors that should be considered when selecting a meat preservation method. Firstly, the process should be practical and usable. The process should not in any way worsen the appearance of the meat. And lastly, the method should not harm the consumer in any way. I have highlighted the ingredients, the process, and the equipment used for ham production at the Guyana School of Agriculture. I am Stacia McDonald. Thank you for joining our virtual presentation. See you next time.
All right, thank you very much. That was our presentation of the process flow. Yes, I know we had one part of the video where we started smoking. We had some issues with the audio. If you, we couldn't do anything about that because it's a problem with the video. So if there's any questions, now the floor is open for questions from the participants. Somebody said something in the chat earlier. Yes, smoking is optional. You can do your ham without smoking. But as I said before, smoking has flavor to the meat. And also when you smoke the ham, you tend to have a different texture as opposed to baking the ham. A different texture and color. Because smoking relies on indirect heat and it's slow cooked, so you tend to have a more juicy product as opposed to baking where you will lose moisture, a lot of moisture from the product.
In the presentation, I was seeing our hard mention of a slow cooking process and a fast cooking or smoking process, but
yes,
it seemed to be the focus more towards the slow one, or is it where you have, I think it's 175 degrees Fahrenheit? Is that for a shorter period in terms of hour? Is that considered the high temperature short period?
Yes, that was long time. That was long time high temperature. Low temperature. Low temperature, long time.
So the next thing is, in the event that you're doing this locally, you don't have a smoker. What I heard sawdust being mentioned, which covers several options. Is it any specific sawdust that you can use, or just sawdust?
We are still looking at our local sawdust that can be used. We're waiting on someone from the Guyana Forestry Commission to advise us on which is best to use. But I know you can also use black sage if you don't have an electric smoker and you're using a box oven. You can also use black sage to do your smoking. You can cut it up, wet it, and wrap it in your foil paper, pour some oils, and place it in your coal pot.
One last question.
We're still waiting, yeah.
With the ban on single-use plastics coming into effect on the 1st of January next year, what options do you have in terms of storage materials for the ham?
I didn't get that. With a balance of?
Instead, with a ban being implemented from the 1st of next year on single-use plastics in terms of packaging, are there any options from the Guyana School of Agriculture that be used so that persons in the field who are interested in doing it can utilize?
Well, we have biodegradable plastic containers that can also be used. That could be used for packaging.
They're available in Guyana, or you have to import those?
Yes, we have some available in Guyana.
Any guidance to where I can locate them, or do I get them through GSA?
I think we have some at wraps, BPATs. We have some packaging materials also available there.
All right, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
One other thing, the entire process from beginning to end takes about 22 days.
No, it takes 21 days. If you have that's with the wet cure. With the dry cure, it will take a longer time because the particles and the solution, the particles from the outside, because you're not adding water, it will take a longer time for the diffusion process to occur into the meat. So that would is recommended to do the dry cure for 28 days to have the same results.
So in terms of your recipe,
just a minute, you can also do we also have a quick cure, the sodium nitrite. You also have a quick cure that can cure your ham can be cured within 1 week. That's the sodium nitrite.
interesting, sounds good. What I was thinking about, the option for the sodium nitrite, you have a formula for that I can pick up at GSA?
A formula for the sodium nitrite?
Yes.
Yeah, we use 2 teaspoons to the gallon of water. And 2 pounds of salt, the 1-to-1 ratio of salt and sugar. In order to obtain the 70% salinity.
So that's the only tweak?
Pardon?
That's the only tweak that you use, the other things remains the same?
Yes.
And my final question. One moment. You can let someone else speak in the meantime, just gathering some thoughts.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay.
You utilize 16 pounds, right?
Yes.
In the event that you have a leg that is larger or smaller, could you utilize the ratio that you have there as a percentage to work out how much ingredients to utilize?
Yes, you can do that. But basically for the ham, you want to obtain 70% salinity to pump your ham. All right? So in also soaking the ham, the solution that you're using to soak the ham, you also want to make sure that it's 70% salinity. The same salinity that you inject into the ham, the same salinity you have to soak the ham with.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions from the other participants? The floor is still open for questions. I'm sure you have some burning questions that you want to ask. I don't know if Ms. Paris has anything to say in the meantime. The other participants are putting their thoughts together.
Everything was fairly clear. I just want to add that the pork has to be chilled before you start working on it. Please do not slaughter the animal today and start curing it today. The temperature, the internal temperature has to be reduced so that the cure can work properly. And it should not be frozen. So you're just chilling the meat. You're not freezing the meat. The pork has to be chilled and not frozen, because when you freeze the meat, you lose and you start to thaw it, it will lose moisture. And the blood in the meat, or the cure, the sodium nitrite, has to work with that bloody with the bloody tissue. It does not mean that you're not going to drain your meat properly. It will be drained correctly, but remember, it will still have some amount of blood in the meat. Now, when it is frozen, and you thaw, that also comes out. Also, thawing will change the texture of your meat. It gets a little dry. And so you don't want that. That is why we need to chill the meat instead of freezing it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pars. Any other questions?
How
Yes,
can
Ms.
I
Sibel?
how can I pick up a pamphlet for the ingredients to doing the ham? Because I didn't catch the first part because I was getting a problem zooming in. So how do I?
Okay, the video will be made available. So it will be on Facebook, so you can have access to the ingredients that are used to produce the ham.
Okay. So in processing, it's like if you're doing a pound, it's so much to a pound. So if you want to do 10 pound, it's so much to 10 pounds going, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I didn't get what you said, Ms. Rose. It was 16 pounds. Yeah. Yeah. The mixture that was used was for 16 pounds of ham. But if you're doing a pound, you will need to do your calculation and your division. Okay, so if we I must say thank you very much for joining in today. It was a pleasure sharing with you. And hopefully our next presentation will be on sausage production at the Guyana School of Agriculture Agro-Processing Facility. Not now, hopefully next year. Next year we'll have that presentation. If you have any questions, you can also contact us at the Guyana School of Agriculture, and we will try our best to assist you. We also have a course, the certificate in agro-processing at the Guyana School of Agriculture, which will teach young men and women different areas of producing different products at the Guyana School of Agriculture. It's a one-year program, and for those who are interested, you can apply next year to come to the Guyana School of Agriculture to do a certificate in agro-processing. So thank you very much for joining us today. It was a pleasure sharing with you.